Sirosoclism, Deus qui inhabitam barbarum vitam, immores habet.
Welcome back to another episode of The Depths of the Melody. I had the honor of sitting down with Vlad, the frontman to the band NECROWRETCH. It was awesome. It was such a good time. It was such a good learning experience for me, and I believe it will be for you. And I think that this interview and just talking life with Vlad is going to be awesome for you guys to really see behind the veil and not only get into a really badass band, but feel relatability. And I just think that we did that. On top of that, Seasons of Mist is giving away NECROWRETCH's latest album, Swords of Dajjal. So all you have to do is comment down below, and somebody will be chosen at the end of February. I'm so excited to be able to do this for you guys and have the opportunity from Seasons of Mist and NECROWRETCH to do this. It's an honor. We love music, and we just want you guys to fall in love with music even more. So thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy.
Vlad, man, thank you so much just for taking time out of your day, dude. I know that you are melting faces and kicking ass. You have a new record coming out, and it's the Swords of Dajjal. Dajjal, okay. And I told you briefly, but I discovered you on a whim. Like, you popped up on my YouTube. I saw the Numidian Knowledge video, and I remember watching it, man, and I was just like, holy shit, this is brutal. It's heavy. It was an onslaught of just great melodies, man, that you're able to capture in the imagery. The video was super cool, dude. Like, I loved that you did it in black and white, and I was hooked. So I saw that you dropped another video after that one. I did that one as well, and I just became kind of hungry to understand NECROWRETCH more. So kind of going back and looking at some of the albums. So being able to sit down with like the mastermind behind NECROWRETCH, I'm really grateful for this time and very thankful that you took time to be here.
Yeah, thanks for the invitation, and I'm very glad actually you discover us with the new album. I think it's a good way to discover a band with the latest stuff and later to deep into their old stuff actually. Because we know so many bands, we say, okay, I just like the first album and everything they did after I'm not interested in. There is countless of bands like this, especially the ones from the 90s. But I really love to go to see a band live for their last album. And I think it's really good on these songs we put. We had a lot of new discovery. So we can have some new fans that discover us with this new music that we spend a lot of time to create, almost 4 years between the writing process and the release. So I'm really glad you like it, and hopefully you will love the new video that we just put out a couple of days ago.
So with this one, you said about how you're very aware how bands evolve. You know that people, like what you said, people would be like, oh, I love the first album, but they suck after that, you know?
Sure.
What was it about this album that you still wanted to keep the NECROWRETCH recipe, but also maybe introduce something new?
Actually, I will say everything is kind of new for this album. It's almost like we start a new band. Why? Because there was the COVID. Unfortunately, our fourth album, The Ones from Hell, came out just a couple of weeks before the COVID, and we were about to start a tour in Europe, but we canceled 6 days before the start of the tour. So the previous album was, bad to say, this, kind of lost. We could not promote it. And so when the first lockdown started in France, like in March 2020, we directly say, okay, we start to work on a new album. And then we also changed completely the lineup. We had a new drummer, for extreme metal bands. The drum is like the most important musician, I would say, is the one who is really holding the house together. And so with this new lineup, we started to work in a different process. Before I was writing the music by myself, and now with this album, we really did a co-working with all the lineup together. We also changed the instrument. I changed guitar after maybe almost 15 years playing on the same guitar. I started to play with another model, which also changed the signature. I took some vocal course lesson, but I never did before in the past. So it was a lot of time to say, okay, we know how to play music, we know how to play fast. Now maybe we can sit down and think how we can write better song, maybe more musical, I would say, compared to just violence and overdrive of Satan, but it was in our previous albums.
Almost like a refinement.
Yeah, I will say, and I and the rest of the lineup, we have a lot of respect for bands that had a strong evolution. I'm thinking about Death and Chuck Schuldiner, who really started from primitive death metal before moving to very progressive stuff with albums like Symbolic or The Sons of Perseverance, and everything was really good in his career. I'm thinking about Carcass, started grindcore and finished by creating the melodic death metal that was later the trademark of many bands, especially in Sweden. I'm thinking about what band we can add. Also Morbid Angel, who started more primitive and later went into something more deep. And I have a lot of respect for this band, who really created different ambience compared to some bands that are good, but do the same album for 20 years and they don't take any risk. Okay, the album is good every time, but everyone will agree the first album is better compared to the copy.
I did want to ask the album art for Swords of Dajjal. Dude, listen, man, I'm a visual person. So when I see something, that is what lures me in. And dude, this has got to be one of the most badass album arts ever. Because let me tell you, dude, I got to give you praise, man, because
Amen.
that is that image of Dajjal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is very just standout, powerful. It's not simple, but it is. But his face and the details on his face and the white eyes, dude. I got so hyped by it because like I when I first listened to you guys and then I saw the album coming out, I was like, this album art is just so cool. So is this a made up, did you make this image, or like what's the inspiration behind the character of this art, the art of this character on the album?
But, we work for the art with a French artist, Santana, who also did our previous album cover, which was also very oriental, as I can say. And we did not want a typical metal artwork where you can guess the music before you listen. We were aiming for something mysterious where you do not know what kind of music you will listen when you see the artwork, but make you more curious. And it's important for us that if you, let's say, visit a vinyl store and you have 20 vinyls in the rack, then you will stop on this one, definitely. And you will say, okay, this is interesting. What is it about? Maybe I will have a listen. And in the end, I think it's looking more, I would say maybe 70s or something that we can connect with old sci-fi movies like Dune or some other stuff like that. Something, as you say, simple but powerful. And it represents what we wanted also with the music and the main character of Dajjal holding the sword of the prophet, but in more twisted, evil, satanic, I mean, put all the words you want, version of the holy text. So this is it.
So Dajjal, I wanted to do some research about the words. And now Dajjal is said to be an evil figure who claims to be the promised Messiah, like the Antichrist, essentially, right?
Yeah, it's actually the album can be called the Source of the Antichrist, but this will sound very much like a Slayer album, I think. So
Yeah.
as we are really deep into Oriental cultures and I mean, I live in Turkey, Middle East for a time, and also we with the bands are all very open to all the Eastern and Far East country. We also toured a lot in this country, and we are curious about the metal scene as well, about the movies, about the food, about many things like this. So, and as also what's important, I guess you saw in the interview that I grew up in a Moroccan family. I mean, I'm born in France, but from Moroccan Berber stance. So I grew up. My dad was telling me some stories about some ancient evil of the desert, of the desert that will come to eat you if you was not a good boy, And I
Good
grew up
dad,
with,
good dad.
yeah, sure. And I grew up by having all this spicy, um, Oriental related culture and influence, and not at all. I was never into Christianity or something related to, let's say, Western um, French tradition.
Mhm.
So in the end, when I started to make a band, when I wanted to talk about the devil, it was clear it was about a devil like this, the devil who lies in the east, that my music will go about.
When I looked it up, and I because I wanted to understand the word, I was like, whoa. Like, and again, too, another, I think you calling it the Swords of Dajjal instead of the Swords of
Mhm.
the Ancient was brilliant, because right now, I don't know what Dajjal means. I don't know who that figure is, but because I see it and I see the words, I'm drawn in to go, what is that? Brilliant. That's brilliant marketing, man. Like that will pull people in. Um, so I told you, like, when I found you guys, it was off your Numidian knowledge, and
Mhm.
I kind of looked up a little bit about what Numidia is, an ancient civilization,
Mhm.
correct? And how is Numidia connected the to Dajjal? If
Connected
you
to
could answer
metal,
that.
even I would say.
What's
Because
that?
also, I mean, I would say even how is it connected to metal? Because some people also made me the comments like, "Are you the first metal band to make topic about the ancient kingdom of Numidia, who is like something that existed before or during the Roman Empire?" I mean, that's not the typical topics of metal. And it's okay, but why not? It's so black metal. We don't know so much things about it. Everyone died. The civilization passed away. So of course it's like black metal. I'm so sure if Behemoth do this topic tomorrow, everyone will say genius. So this time we are first, and it's an ancient kingdom that ruled North Africa. So once again, this album I will say it's more personal because it's also related to the roots of my family in this part of the world, and I was more curious to talk about some topics like some ancient evil from Islam, some ancient evil before Islam or the Arabic people came in North Africa, and some ancient evil, or let's say some tales that existed even before the Roman Empire, because there was these people already living there for almost 9,000 years. And for me, it was an interesting topic to go in and to make a, let's say, black death metal album related to this. So therefore, I will say this album is um, more unique in the character. It does sound and look like some black metal or death metal album, but it has also its own character and its own identity. And this is very important for me because if there is 10 CDs of metal, I want directly people identify this album to be like NECROWRETCH, maybe in the music, in the thematic, or in the artwork.
What I've heard from this latest album, I've always had a hard time connecting to black metal it was tough for me to get into, but I believe that anybody could get into any genre of music. You just need the doorway. You need that
Yeah.
doorway band, that band that helps you. And like the band that helped me get into heavier music that had like gutturals and growls was Opeth. Opeth, when I heard Opeth, they got me into, death metal and progressive. So that was like a doorway for me. And now listening to NECROWRETCH, I went back and listened to like off your first album. I listened to some of the songs. I have an ear for it now, and I appreciate it now. But like 2 years ago, I'd be like, dude, I don't know. You know what I mean? But it you're from your older stuff to what you did now, and what I've heard, you truly have done what I believe what you've set out to do. You you evolved, and your music, I believe this album, from what I have heard, is going to be great to get people in to NECROWRETCH and find out more about you. Um, and I think what you said about talking about Numidia, dude, anytime you have people killing people, that's metal.
Yeah. Well, exactly.
That's metal. When did you start having a hunger to understand the dark arts and
I would
the
say,
violence?
yeah, I would say this also connect to the question when people get in metal, because no one born metalhead. I mean, not as we know, but there is a time, I would say, maybe at the end of your primary school, or when you enter, let's say, when you're 10, 12 years old, teenager time, you have to find your team. Let's say, try to remember you when you was a teenage, and because for me it was like, I don't know, 20 years ago, maybe more. But try to remember you're in the playground and there is some gangs already. There is some teams where it's like all this guy always dressing like in Adidas or Nike, and they just play football and talk about it. Okay, I'm not into this. There is all these other people. They are just, I don't know, smoking weed all the time. Okay, I'm not with these people who like love to listen Bob Marley and be stoned.
Yeah.
And so you find something else. And at this time, in the beginning of the 2000s, for us, it was a band like Slipknot, who had a very huge impact. And before this, I knew, of course, Iron Maiden and AC/DC, which were like everyone knew. But when I heard the album Iowa back in 2001, if I'm not mistaken, at the time of the release, I remember buying this album. It was like fucking hell, man. This is the shit. I was the only one to listening to this music, and I was really happy with this. And after that, shortly after that, my oldest brother he say, "Okay, you love this music, so try this band from the 90s. It's called Judas Priest, and the album was Painkiller." And then I understand something was even heavier than Slipknot. So for me, it was a huge blow. So how is it possible? This guitar solo and Rob Alford voice going so high. I remember I was like jumping in my bedroom trying to imitate Rob Alford scream. And I was like playing over and over the drum part of Painkiller. And at this time, I will say, I think that something is okay. My life will be about this. I want to make a metal band. I do not have any clues about how to play an instrument or stuff, but we will make it. And then you start to discover there is also people like you. They also know some bands that you don't know. You know bands that they don't know. And then you start to make your inner circle, your team. And then you grew up as an adult, and your real man's or woman's life started this time. And it's for life. People who are into metal, or they have a period like, let's say, for 1 or 2 years, they listen to National Band and they are just kind of poser people, they walk away, or you're metalhead for life and you will sacrifice a lot of things for this attitude, for this style of life. And when you deep dive into the devil, or into some, let's say, black part, or something that is hidden for the rest of the common world and the common people in this planet.
Music was like that big driving force that kind of was like, it didn't just open your mind to different music, but it gave you that hunger for like the deep hidden things, the things that no one's talking about. Love that.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. So I read that you love like touring and doing shows deep in like Asia and Asian culture, Asian countries. And
Yeah.
that's so fascinating to me. And I wanted to ask, what do you have like a crazy story or like maybe a time that you were doing a show and like something crazy happened? I'm sure you got something.
Remember this tour when after like 10 minutes the van broke down and the first show was already canceled. And so we finished sleeping in a garage, and we had to wait until the van was fixed. And we are saying, okay, we are just in the middle of nowhere. What we will do here? And there was this, I don't know, gorgeous woman arrived from the middle of nowhere, like really in a movie, uh, almost topless. And she said to us, okay, so you can stay here at the mom of my grandma, and she will pay for the reparation of your van, and have this bottle of liquor, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye. And it's like, okay, what just happened, guys? And the next day, it's true, the van was fixed, and we didn't have to pay something, and then we ran. It was like, I don't know, things that can happen only one time in life, I will say.
That's crazy. She just comes out of nowhere. Hey, my grandma's gonna take care of your van. Here's a bottle of liquor.
Yeah,
That's
that's it.
that
That's
is
it.
amazing. Oh my gosh. So you also too, you feel a pull and draw to the country Turkey,
Yep.
and you went there to actually work on this album, right?
Actually, first we played there, but at the end of this tour, after the van was fixed and everything, when we continued our travel, we had I don't know, like a 1 week tour in Eastern Europe, and we finished in Istanbul, which was like the highlight of the tour. And it was the first time for me visiting this country, and I was really amazed and really curious about this place, like between Europe and Asia. So we came back to make another tour a couple of years ago, and when I say, okay, I really love this place, and then I will take just my guitar and some clothes, and I will move here maybe for 2 months, maybe for three. And in the end, I stayed like, I don't know, 1.5 years. And I was like mostly learning this language, this culture, being in another place and writing the album at the same time. So it was very interesting period for me, and I learned a lot of things, not only about these people, but also I will say about myself after this time.
And I wanted to dive into that because you said, when you were young and you were trying to find your group, the people you connected with,
Mm.
it's a very curious thing that I believe music is a doorway, and it is not simply music. Music has opened up your whole life, and like looking back at you finding Slipknot and then Judas Priest. Now you're going to Turkey to live for a year and a half to
Yeah.
search yourself to write an album. You said that you found some like things about yourself while
Mm.
you were there. Is there anything that you would like to maybe share, something that maybe you found about yourself while you
Yeah.
were?
So um, first, it's very interesting to write music when you're not on your own element, especially if you're not in your country and people does not speak your language, or they does not speak English at all, or not so much. So how you will proceed to write music when you sit down and start to write a song? Already your brain is in a very different vibe compared to what it is in your everyday life. And I really encourage musicians, not necessarily for an album, maybe for just for one song. They don't need to go in another country. They can maybe just go in middle of the forest, but try to disconnect from your everyday life, your everyday problems, and your everyday habits. Try to disconnect from this and write music at this time. You will see something way more interesting is coming out. Unfortunately, for the new album, Source of Dajjal, we could not do this because there was the coronavirus striking. So we were like, especially at home, writing this record. But I wish in the future we can maybe go somewhere for 1 or 2 weeks and just sit down and start to write music in another environment, because it's bringing you another way of thinking. Even the music, I know that a D or a E will stay a E on your guitar, you know, but still you will see the things differently.
So you were in Turkey. You're kind of disconnected. But you're writing. You're studying music. You're learning the culture. What is like some fun stuff to do in Turkey? Like what was like stuff that maybe you did that was like, oh, this was like, because I don't really know anything about like Turkey or the culture. How was the food?
I was about to say this, yeah, mostly the food is like something amazing. The food and also the people, you know, I know they have their own problems too. The situation can be difficult, especially for economy, but the people are more different. I will not find a really word, but people will be more cool, more open, more friendly, especially compared to France and compared to Paris, where people are kind of cold. But there, people welcome you. They treat you good, especially if you're a foreigner. They make you feel you are the guest, and they always have time, a lot of time, to sit down around a tea, coffee, or a beer to talk. Maybe to talk about music, to talk about life, but people have time. And there was also a lot of metal shows when I was there, so it was interesting to go to the the local bands or the bigger bands who was coming to play there and be part of this show at this time. And still, so far when I was there, I was also continuing to tour with NECROWRETCH in many different countries. So I was like going back in Europe or in other countries and writing the album. So it was like really like a year mostly focused about music actually, but in another country.
That's awesome. You said that like Turkey and especially in parts of Asia, that is becoming a huge place for metal and metal
Yeah.
music. And it
Mhm.
seems like a lot of people don't truly understand or really see this thing growing in those places.
Sure. Actually, if more than 15 years ago, I think in 2007 or 2008, there was a metal documentary called Global Metal about it. And I encourage people to watch it again or to discover it, because the filmmaker was going in a lot of different countries. Like I remember Indonesia or maybe Dubai, Japan, place like this, Brazil, of course, to and China as well, to see the metalheads. What push you into metal? What do you feel when you listen metal? What about your local bands? What about the bigger bands that visited your country? It's very interesting because you know always the classic metal bands, they will play in US, they will play in Europe, maybe some shows in Japan and Australia, and that's it. It's like world tour. But the world is not made of this. And in some countries that you think they are very poor, very underground, very far, but there is metalheads. There is of course people who, like us, grew up listening Iron Maiden, Judas Priest or Slayer, and these people are eager for metal. They are eager to play metal, they are eager to see metal and to travel also abroad to see the metal show and live like metalheads, because they are. So um, when we first tour in Southeast Asia, Malaysia, Singapore, and other countries back in 2015, almost 10 years ago, uh, almost no one came there. We were like only underground bands were aiming to go and play in underground countries. But I can tell you right now that many bands want to tour in Asia, because they understand with this country they can be on tour more longer for one album. It adds them one more tour circle, more fun, more sales, more show, more income. So I think in the next year, you will see pretty much for all bands will have like Europe, USA, and an Asian tour for the promotion of every album. I can assure you this.
When you started out, I don't like using the word typical, but you definitely had like anti-Christian themes, right? It was but you said too that you have evolved over time. You still provide those metal elements of, anti-Christian or whatever. But what else do you think has grown in you, and maybe the message of NECROWRETCH now compared to what it was in the beginning?
Say that now the lyrics and the thematic can be more like we finish in an open up question, like, okay, there is a tale about the devil. Take it like you want. You can think it's a truth. You can think it's a tale. You can believe in it or no, but it's up to you. Where in the previous album it was more like "Hail Satan," point, or a very strict message, or you will die and you will rot in pain in the most horrible possible position. But now, if you will see after, if you deep dive in the lyrics in songs like Dimori or even New Media Knowledge, what we talk about this song, what is like he created a tale about a slave that want to open the coffin of an ancient king to take his wisdom so he can live forever. But in the end, he's trying for decades to do some incantation or to try to read the signs to open this seal. But he fell and he died. And so the tale is the only remaining memory about this nameless soul. So I think this is way more interesting lyrics compared to just something like the church is burning and you will die in pain. Yeah, I will say right now all lyrics are going more into something that make the listener thinking when the song is over.
Yeah, because again, when I heard your two videos, I immediately went to read, because it wasn't just, hail Satan, everybody dies. It was, whoa, what is this Numidian knowledge? What does this mean? And so to me, it worked. It worked on me.
Yeah.
So I know it will work on others. All right, man. The final thought is, first of all, it's been an honor, man, to sit down and talk with you. You took time out of your day. You let me and my community see behind the veil of you, the band, your soul. And that's invaluable to me, because people will watch this and they will relate to you. They will be able to see deeper behind the band and what you are trying to do. Discovering your music has been amazing, and I've loved everything about it. So the final question is, imagine we are 30 years in the future. You're 70 years old.
Oh.
NECROWRETCH, and let's say NECROWRETCH is done. After all your albums, what are you hoping to hear from the people that have listened to your music?
Clue. I don't know where I will be in 30 years, or I wish I will still have, I don't know, hairs on my head and beard on my face. I will still be alive. But I will say, okay, maybe the people can say to me, man, that was some crazy shit and it was a good time. I wish also maybe some new generation will continue to play the metal, because metal started in, let's say, the 70s. If we want to take like the first album of Black Sabbath as the starting point of metal, which is what I do. But will people continue to play metal in 300 years? Good question, because people continue to play now classical music, which is like very, very old, or maybe some even some older music. So I don't know, like in 300 years later, people will play metal. At which tempo will it be? Maybe people will play, I don't know, at 500 BPM, and they will say Marduk was very slow band, for his time. So, or maybe people will play so slow that you need, I don't know, some special implants to listen to music with some very special frequency. We cannot know, but I'm proud, like everyone, I think no one in metal, or especially in black death metal, plan to create a band to make a career. That is something that exists in pop music, maybe in hard rock, but not in extreme metal. People play with their guts. People play it because someone have to do it. they are talking with their gods and creating this music. And with the time, you say, okay, someone want to sign your demo. That's cool. Someone want to sign your album. That's cool. You go on. You are invited to play tour festival. You grew up, even if I consider that for us, we are still not like, let's say we are not a super band, super big or something like this. We are still like in the underground, or we do not live off our music, for example. It's just something we do on our holidays or in the weekends. So, but already we can be very proud of what we did. If everything was to be done again, I will do it, definitely, even with the same mistake and the same sacrifice. But to say what I will do in 30 years, that's a very good question. I wish at this time, I don't know, we will have the opportunity to tour a lot and during these next 30 years, and to play to play our music. For all the time we need to create this art. And to finish this interview, because you say it was an honor for you to receive me, I will say that this is shared feeling, man. And people have to remember that without the fan base, this music will not exist. We do not have any support from TV, radio, or all the bullshit that mainstream music have, and it's very good. The day this music becomes popular, we will directly stop to listen it. Let's be honest. We dive it because it's underground, but this music lives thanks to the fan, thanks to the people who support the band, who pre-order the albums, people who print the T-shirt, the patch, the labels who also advance money to cover the cost of the bands, the bookers, the people in club, even the one who prepare food for the concerts. The music is always in the center. The music and the musician are always in the center of this music, but there is a full circle around that we do not need to forget, because before all, even me, I am a fan of this music, and I'm happy to be part of this movement. And so I would like to thank you and to thank everyone involved in the movement, even if you are just a simple listener or people organizing show or printing magazine. Thanks to everyone. And Sort of Dagel will be out in the 2nd of February. So you can already pre-order your album on Season of Peace web shop or directly through the band's website if you prefer. And have a nice evening. Cheers.
Thank you so much, man.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, dude.
That concludes our episode of The Depths of the Melody. I want to thank NECROWRETCH. I want to thank Vlad, Seasons to Mist, for your time and just everything that went into this. I love what you're doing, and I believe you're going to absolutely crush, especially with this latest album. So I'm excited for your future, and I'm excited for everybody who's going to hear it. Like I said before, Seasons of Mist is giving away their latest album. All you got to do is comment down below, and somebody will be chosen at the end of February. Guys, thank you so much. Thank you for taking your time to hang out with me and Vlad and just to be here. We don't take that for granted, and we're thankful for the opportunity. So much love. Keep your head up. Stay metal. And get ready for the next episode of The Depths of the Melody.